All right, so in this video, we're going to look at the Shofar Business Consultant Wealth Advisor. So if you go to wealth.shofarbc.com, you'll see the advisor. I've already used up my free questions, but you can come to the page, meet your advisor by asking your 5 free questions to get to meet the advisor and understand how it functions, and see if it's worth your while. So I'm going to show you the difference between our wealth advisor and ChatGPT. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked, can you give me some ideas for a business to start? This is what ChatGPT gives me. So ChatGPT is like, absolutely. If you have $1,000, virtual assistant business. If you have this, social media, freelance, cleaning service. It just throws out a bunch of random ideas without knowing anything about me, knowing anything about my market. Doesn't know what my resources are. It hasn't asked me any questions. Now it says, well, if you answer these 4 questions, I can suggest business ideas more tailored to you. What country are you in? How much can you invest? Blah, blah, blah. With our wealth advisor, the wealth advisor is built to behave like a coach. So it's not here to throw you ideas. It's here to listen first. So if you've ever experienced coaching or heard about coaching, you'll know that coaches listen first. They ask more questions than they provide information. They're not here to just tell you what to do and throw out solutions. They're here to help really teach you how to think. For many people that have never been in business, you don't know what questions to ask ChatGPT. You don't know what to say. You'll say what you can, but unless you've trained your chat, like I have a ChatGPT that I have worked for months and months and months to train it to think like I want it to think. I tell it what to save. I tell it what philosophies I believe in, and I tell it, don't tell me anything that doesn't fit in those philosophies. But if you're using these AIs without any parameters, it's going to go everywhere. It might tell you to start day trading, but you don't know anything about day trading. You aren't capable of doing that at this time, and it's not an appropriate recommendation. But because of what you said, and because there's no parameters, and you don't know the parameters as someone who hasn't done that before, it's not going to give you the proper answers. This tool has been built in. Our wealth advisor has built in books. So all the books that my husband and I used to build wealth over the years are programmed into this AI. We gave it principles of asset acquisition, asset maintenance. We taught it how we think about how money is made, how to preserve cash flow, how to preserve assets over time, and to make sure that you don't go broke. And so this is what is in, this wealth advisor, and not just anything from the internet. ChatGPT is just pulling anything off of the internet. Now, this wealth advisor is not pulling from the internet. It is using your brain. So it's working with you. So let's go through what it talked through when I said, can you give me some ideas for a business to start? This wealth advisor says, yes, I can help with that. Before I throw ideas at you, I want to anchor us in the wealth builder way. Businesses start by solving a real recurring problem for a specific group of people in a way that creates clear value they're already willing to pay for. So it starts off right from the first conversation with giving you a formula of how it's thinking. It has a philosophy. Then it says, so first tell me one thing. What kind of problems do you personally see a lot in your day-to-day life or work? For example, frustrations with a service, repeated delays, wasted money, confusing processes, or things people complain about. If you're not sure, answer this instead. Who do you already know well enough to talk to for 10 minutes at a time? And that's trying to get at who you are so that it doesn't just give you options that have no business being presented to you. It's trying to understand where your starting point is. So then I went the route of saying what I see is that I see transportation issues in Windhoek where people are waiting for a hike, hitchhiking for a long time. I see groceries are expensive. I see gas cost is increasing. The cost of homes is high. There aren't enough rentals and the rental prices are getting high. So then it responds to that. So it didn't give me any blanket ideas. It responds directly to the feedback I gave about what I'm seeing in my immediate environment, which is a philosophy that we have. If you're going to be the entrepreneur, you need to be able to look at your immediate environment, your circle, spheres of influence, your circles, and see what problems can you solve. And those are your most immediate and available options for making money. So it says you're seeing a cluster of real recurring problems: unreliable transport, high cost of living, and housing scarcity that's pushing rents up. That's good raw material because these are the kinds of issues people feel every week, not once in a while. Let's turn this into business opportunities the wealth builder way. What painful problem exists? Who experiences it? And what value would you create that they'd pay for? One idea direction: transport that reduces waiting and improves reliability. For example, a scheduled shared ride service for common routes into Windhoek where drivers commit to departure times and passengers book in advance. The value is reducing uncertainty and wasted time. You could start small with a few routes and a simple booking method. Notice this doesn't cost any money. It costs time, coordination, and finding some people that are willing to commit to this and helping to facilitate this. So this is a service, doesn't cost you any money to get started. Another idea direction: grocery cost reduction through aggregation. For example, a neighborhood bulk buy or group purchasing service that coordinates orders from wholesalers and delivers to members. The value is saving money and reducing friction. You need a clear way to prove savings and keep quality consistent. A third idea direction: housing supply and affordability via rentals that are easier to access. For example, a property onboarding and management service for small landlords, helping them prepare units, handle tenants, and reduce vacancy. The value is reducing hassle and increasing occupancy for owners while improving reliability for renters. This doesn't require you to own property first, which can be a big advantage when homes are expensive. Quick question. So can I narrow this to the best next so I can narrow this to the best next step? Which of these feels most solvable for you right now based on your connections and skills? Transport, groceries, or helping rentals landlords? And I said, I'm most interested in transport or the grocery aggregation. Got it. You're seeing three linked pressures, and you're most interested in transport and grocery aggregation. That's a strong starting point because both are recurring pain problems people feel often, not occasionally. It's saying this because recurring pain means people are willing to pay to solve a recurring pain, something that is problematic regularly, that they regularly complain about. So it says, let's pick one to test first because the fastest path to clarity is a small experiment that proves people will pay. Transport idea. The core value would be reducing uncertainty and waiting time. So it's teaching you how to present, how to understand the value you are giving to the customer. It doesn't just say, here's the business idea. It's teaching you what is the value to the customer. Instead of waiting for a hike, you create a predictable option for common routes. A simple starting version could be scheduled shared rides for a few high demand routes in Windhoek with fixed departure times and a booking system, even WhatsApp and a spreadsheet at first. Drivers commit to leaving at set times. Passengers pay a small fee per seat. The key question: what routes are people repeatedly stuck on and what time windows are worst? So now it's asking you to think. Think about, where would you need to solve this problem? Where are people normally waiting for a hike that they're not getting it? And then it talks about the grocery aggregation idea. Save money without extra hassle. The core value would be saving money and reducing the effort of hunting deals. People already know groceries are expensive. They just need a reliable way to get better pricing and consistent quality. A simple starting version could be group buying for a short list of staples: rice, cooking oil, flour, sugar, beans, etc., with weekly or bi weekly orders. You source from wholesalers, then deliver to members or set up a pickup point. The key question: where would you source from and how would you prove savings on the same items people already buy? One question to choose the next step. For transport, what are the top two routes or areas where people wait the longest for a hike and what time of day is the worst? So this is I'm showing you this. I don't want to go through every single step, but you can kind of read through this a little bit if you pause to read. But it gives options for how do you find the distributors, what would you need to plan for that, Um, it gave me options of the type of sourcing and the type of method for how to do this business. It's teaching me how to think about the quantities, the pricing, and how I'm going to make money. I said, I can find customers, but how do I profit? And it gave me an understanding of, the profit comes from spread. You buy staples at wholesale or bulk price. So it goes through the options for how to make profit. And then it asked me additional questions. So it's helping me to plan and prepare for this future business. And all of the business ideas, like I said, it gave me business ideas that I could do with little to no money to get started, but just using my own time and the resources that I have available to serve the people around me to start making money. And that's how the Wealth Builder Advisor functions. It takes you from where you are to take you to the next step, asking you questions, using philosophies from proven business books, business strategies, financial strategies to help you really get to the next step as quickly as possible without skipping steps and without trying to speed up the process with get rich quick ideas and things that are just going to lose money.